This is the Horizon Environmental Weed Spray Technician Training. Cole and I and some other special guests are going to be adding to this training. We'll be doing this over the next few weeks. Periodically, we'll send an email out, that sort of thing, and get these technician training hours under our belts.
Federal Insecticide, Fungicide, and Rodenticide Act provides federal control of pesticide distribution, sale, and use. Under FIFRA, the EPA must register new pesticides and re-register all existing pesticides to ensure that when used according to the label, they will not cause unreasonable risks to the environment or human health. Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act governs the establishment of pesticide tolerance for food and feed products. The EPA and Food and Drug Administration are responsible for administering this act. Food Quality Protection Act amended both FIFRA and FFDCA, setting a tougher standard for pesticides used on food. Food Quality Protection Act established a single, health-based standard to be used when assessing the risks of pesticide residue in food or feed.
The Colorado Pesticide Applicators Act includes the licensing and regulation of any individual or business who applies pesticides or uses certain pest control devices on property other than their own and for hire or any form of compensation in Colorado. The Colorado Pesticide Act regulates the registration, labeling, transportation, distribution, storage, use, and the disposal of any pesticide and of certain pesticide devices in the state. Agricultural, Chemicals, and Groundwater Protection Act imposes rules for mixing and loading areas for pesticides, where they are handled in quantities that exceed set minimum thresholds.
The WPS is a federal regulation issued by the EPA and revised in 1992. It covers pesticides that are used in the production of agricultural plants for commercial or research purposes on farms, forests, nurseries, greenhouses, and related structures. Both general use and restricted use applications are covered by WPS. WPS defines two groups of agricultural employees, agricultural workers and pesticide handlers. WPS requires that agricultural establishments train or verify training of handlers and workers, restrict entry to treated areas, provide notification of applications, post specific information regarding applications at a central location, post safety information at a central location, provide documentation supplies, and provide access to emergency medical assistance.
Restricted Entry Interval, REI, is the period of time immediately after a pesticide application when agricultural employees may not enter a pesticide-treated area without protective clothing. REIs are established for all pesticides used in the production of agricultural plants in greenhouses, farms, forests, and nurseries. Early entry workers are required to use PPE, personal protective equipment, according to manufacturer instructions. Typically, when we're doing our applications, we don't really deal with restricted entry interval. We do have questions from customers and landowners about when they can walk on the site or have their animals within the site. And we do use the restricted entry interval as a good frame of reference for that timing when they can re-enter the site.
A commercial applicator is a person engaged in the business of applying pesticides or operating a device for hire. Qualified supervisors are any individual who is licensed to apply pesticides without supervision, evaluates pest problems, recommends pest controls using pesticides, mixes or loads pesticides, applies any pesticide, sells application services, operates devices, supervises others in any of the above functions.
A couple of examples of Horizon personnel that hold these certifications. For our commercial applicator, Julianne holds that certification. For our qualified supervisors, we have Cole, John, Jeremy, and Aaron.
Certified operator is an individual who is licensed to apply any pesticide, including restricted use pesticides, under the supervision of a qualified supervisor. A technician is any individual who has no license, uses a device under the supervision of a qualified supervisor, mixes or applies general use pesticides under the supervision of a qualified supervisor, mixes or loads restricted use pesticides under the direct supervision of a qualified supervisor, applies restricted use pesticides under the on-site direct supervision of a qualified supervisor, evaluates pest problems under the supervision of a qualified supervisor, recommends products or treatments under the supervision of a qualified supervisor.
Some examples of Horizon personnel that hold these certifications. Certified operators, we have Dennis, Joseph, and Brandon Collado. Our technicians are anyone who is listening to this video. If you don't have a license in Colorado, you're considered a technician.